Welcome to the Snakes and Ladders podcast in association with Hunting for Profit, in-play horse racing trading education courses and online academy. Welcome back to the Snakes and Ladders podcast in association with Hunting for Profit. I'm your host, Matt Gibson, and I have a guest with me today. This guy's been with Hunting for Profit since June 2022. He's been a regular member in the group since, and welcome, Ivor.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Really great to be here.
No problem. How are you? You well?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Yeah, busy day today. In my main job, but yeah, looking forward to going through the podcast this evening with yourself.
Good stuff. Hopefully listeners will enjoy what they've got to hear. If we start off, if we go back to the start, when you first got into trading and how you got into trading, how you came along, how you bumped into trading, if you like.
Yeah, of course. So kind of take your minds back to 2016, kind of when I first started in the kind of gambling / match betting scene.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of had a friend that I knew back at Tesco's that kind of introduced me to match betting. And kind of explained, you can use free bets to kind of make money with match betting. And I was like, kind of what's this? Thought it was kind of some sort of not a scam, but I didn't believe you could do it until I kind of looked a bit more into it. Kind of took to it like a duck to water, to be brutally honest, and did that for quite a few years. Made some okay money from doing it, and it wasn't until kind of my twin girls were born that I kind of realised that I needed to kind of do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where I came across Hunting for Profit, and kind of my trading journey really started from there onwards. So
was Hunting for Profit sort of the first trading sort of service or thing that you came across originally, or did you trade other sports? Or
yeah, to be honest, I delved into a couple of the sports. So I tried tennis.
Yeah.
Didn't really get a lot of success with tennis. I tried a little bit of football trading. Again, didn't really kind of take to it at all. It wasn't until I kind of tried horse racing, and to be honest, I kind of started to lay horses and ended up being profitable trading. Laying horses, nothing really kind of too advanced, just looking at sort of horses I expected to lose a race in play, watching their characteristics.
Yep.
But didn't really have kind of a set plan as such.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of where I kind of thought to myself, look, I need to kind of go onto a course. I need to find something that kind of has a set process in place.
Yeah.
Which is where I came across Hunting for Profit.
Okay. And how often is it that you trade? Do you trade most days or a few days a week? Or?
To be honest, it's mostly evenings, and then on a Saturday. So I have a full-time job, so I kind of trading is great because I can kind of fit it around my main job and busy family life as well. That's the main advantage really with trading, is you can kind of dip in and dip out, and Saturdays are kind of the busiest day for trading, where the most money's in the market. So for me, it fits perfectly.
Yeah, and also I think that's better as well for people to some respects, is that you don't have that financial pressure on your shoulders. Whereas if you was trading full time and that was your only income stream, then you're gonna have a lot of financial pressures on your shoulders, aren't you? Whereas if it's just one of more than a couple of income streams, then it's going to be better for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it kind of helps a mindset as well. When I first joined Hunting for Profit, and obviously met yourself, it was one of the biggest things that I took away from the course was the kind of the mindset aspect. And I looked at other courses, and none of them are really talking about that. And in my honest opinion, I think mindset is the biggest part of trading, be it be sports markets or financial markets. It's about how you think and how you act. I would say it's probably almost 80% really of kind of trading, which is a big part that yourself, Matt, focuses on. You know, kind of the first part of the course, it was all around mindset. But yeah, as you mentioned, kind of having a full-time job, you know, it does help. You know, you've got that stability of income. So if you don't have the best trading day, you're kind of not stressing too much about, oh no, the next day I need to do have a better day, for example. I just think you're kind of, when you're first starting out anyway, you're putting too much pressure on yourself initially, which, you know, will affect your trading.
Yeah, exactly that. And with the mindset, it's such a complex subject. As you know, I talk about it a lot. As you've said, I talk about it a lot in the academy and on the course. And
Yeah, it's something that I think's overlooked quite a lot. You know, I'll be brutally honest. When I first started trading, I massively overtraded.
yeah,
I was using too big of stakes. You know, I was trying to kind of make the income that I used to make when I was match betting.
yep,
You know, which I think a lot of traders, when they first start, they kind of think, oh, you know, look at these green screens on Twitter or other social media platforms from other services, and they kind of think, oh, you know, I can make 500 quid a day, 1,000 quid a day, or whatever. And I think, you know, it's going in with that mindset is completely wrong. You know, you need to have discipline. You need to have a set process, which yourself, Matt, kind of teach new traders to follow. It's so important. And yeah, I'll be upfront. I lost quite a bit of money when I first started trading. You know, first trialing out new ideas, new processes, and it's just about stripping it back to basics. You know, understanding your own personality. You know, how you deal with risk. You know, it's a massive part of trading. Massive part.
what's the sort of biggest hurdle that you've come across then with your mindset? With everybody's personality is different. Is there anything that you found particularly difficult or along the way?
That's a good question. I'd probably say the overtrading part of it.
Right.
You know, thinking initially that I knew best.
Yeah.
Thinking I could, you know, beat the market as such, you know, without really having much discipline or process in place. Again, as I said a few minutes ago, I was just trying to kind of get to the kind of level of income that I was making doing match betting. You know, that I would say I was doing at quite a high level. You know, I was supporting, you know, multiple accounts and things along those lines at the time. Yeah, it was just trying to get the same sort of figures as I was doing that, which is just completely the wrong mindset to have. And so it was, you know, stripping it right back to basics, just going, look, if I can't make money using £10 stakes, then why am I trying to make money using £1,000 stakes, for example? You know, it's just ridiculous. So that, you know, realizing that I was wrong more than anything, and understanding that I needed to, you know, again, strip it right back, try and find a system that worked for me, and also trying to find some guidance as well, which obviously would come across yourself. You know, having something set. You know, I'm a very methodical person, so I like a process that I can follow, and yourself, Bob, with that.
Yeah, that's obviously what the course gives you, and going into the academy, going through all like the mini courses, if you like, as some people have called them. The process is in place in the academy, and I think that's what some people that join do skip. And I have had people join, leave, and come back a year or so later, and they said to me, "Oh, I didn't follow this bit and I didn't follow that bit," and it's that old analogy, isn't it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, type thing. But
Yeah, and I think, you know, again, it's something that I struggled with initially, that I'm sure the vast majority of traders will suffer with as well, is taking a loss.
yeah,
You know, it's accepting when you're wrong. You know, realizing that, you know, the market's not acting in the way that it should do. You know, blindly jumping in on a front runner, for example. You know, watching how the horse is jumping, making sure it's a good jumper that's leading from the front. It's not like scuffing every single hurdle, for example.
yeah,
Momentum, all the things that you teach in the course. You know, it's taking all of those things into consideration. But again, you know, accepting that you're wrong and taking a loss, again, is something that I really struggled with initially. It's that kind of, for me anyway, it was that kind of macho thing where I was like, no, I'm definitely right. This price has to contract. But yeah, it's a painful lesson to learn, and the market takes no prisoners. It really doesn't. Yes, you might get away with it once or twice, think you're invincible, but the third time, when you don't get it right, it will really kick you, because you'll just be staring at a red screen. You can't exit because you've left it too late, and and you're sat there, just with yourself, because trading is a lonely game, as we all know.
Totally.
It's just yourself you've got to blame, no one else. There's nothing harder than kind of sitting there, looking at another blown bank, which I'm sure we've all been there, and just gone, right, I have to reload again now. Let's try and learn the second time, third time, fourth time. It's not until you've I almost feel like traders have to go through that journey.
Yeah.
Obviously, if traders can avoid it, fantastic. But it's not until you've kind of seen that second or third bank blown that you well, for me personally anyway, I kind of was like, right, something needs to change here. You can't just keep throwing money away.
This is why I say to everybody that joins the course, you start off with a small bank, and learn the processes, understand the market, because you're basically learning a skill. You're training what I call the trader's eye. Really, you're learning to see certain things, certain patterns play out, and the novice eye can't see what an experienced guy can see. It's just simple as that. It is literally watching thousands of markets and going. You got a rough idea. You can watch a race, and when you've watched thousands of markets, you've got a rough idea. You think, I know what could materialise right now, and it's also because you can read the market as well. Is when things do go wrong, like you just said, and taking a loss and stuff. I must take a loss here because of X, Y, and Z's happening. And for me personally, if I was to go and trade another sport or the financials or whatever, I'd want to go to somebody and say, look, if they were going to teach me, I'd say to them, can you show me how to read this market, or whatever it is, whether it's cricket or tennis or whatever, football, and I want them to explain the market to me, and why the odds move here, why they move there at that point and this point of the match or whatever. So it's really important, I think, to understand that, because it's very easy when a trade's going your way, but when it's going against you, or you're going to have to scratch out of it, at least you understand why you're going to get out of it, because this is happening. So, yep, no problem. I can take that loss. That's not my fault. It's market circumstances. It's a nice controlled loss. Right, we'll move on to the next. You're not a rabbit in headlights. It's a nicely controlled, compact loss, and then you know when to let the winners run as well, because you know that the market circumstances allow you to do that.
Yeah, and also when you can add to a market, if the market's
exactly,
going really well, and knowing when to add to position. But I know you mentioned in the course, starting off with either in practice mode or a really small bank is definitely the best way to go. Myself speaking, I kind of missed the practice mode era. I kind of just went in with, as I mentioned before, too big a stakes. But then when I took it right back, I did use a real small bank, but with real money. I felt it just meant more to me personally. I kind of just couldn't play with practice money as such. But I know everyone's different, so it's each their own. But for me personally, I just having a small bank using £10 stakes at the time, it just meant something to me, I think. So when I did have a loss, it made me feel something inside that, oh, right, okay, that was a loss. Was it a controlled loss? Yes, fantastic. That's all I need to know. Was it a loss that I let run too long? Then obviously I'm kicking myself. But for me personally, it was just knowing it was my real money kind of made a bit of a difference for me, even though it was only quite small stakes. Some people might want to start with £2 stakes, for example, but it's each to their own.
Yeah, and I get that. Some people want to sort of feel a slight bit of pain, if you like. Probably the wrong words to use, but
yeah,
you want to feel comfortable in what you're doing. But I kind of agree. I I didn't use practice mode either. Well, I've tried practice mode a couple of times, but it's it to me it's like playing a computer game. It's not real money. You can chuck $5,000 in and not bothered. Whereas if it's your own money,
you instantly get matched. So
Yeah.
it's you put money in the market, you get matched. It doesn't really matter about what money's available in the market. And when you're in practice mode, same when you exit position, you get exited straight pretty much away because it's not real money in the market. But obviously, when you're actually playing, not playing not the right word at all, but when you're actually using real money, be it £2 stakes or £10 stakes or whatever, whoever feels comfortable with using, when you first start, you get to understand about order flow, about getting matched. How to exit position. Sometimes your exit may not be taken straight away, so you need to bring it up higher. For me personally, it just taught me a lot about how to manage my own positions and knowing when to get in, when to get in and when to get out. Going back to when I was using too large stakes, the market was too illiquid sometimes for the stakes I was using. But again, it was just naivety, and I kind of hope people that listen to this podcast that are just starting out, just kind of if they just take one thing away from this, is please don't think that you're better than the market when you first start trading. Hopefully it will, you'll avoid losing some sizable chunks of money if you just start small, build it up as you go. As your confidence grows, increase your stakes.
Exactly that. Is there sort of any good habits that you feel you brought into trading? Is there anything you found sort of mindset wise fairly relatively easy, or was it a complete challenge?
It was a complete challenge,
Right.
from kind of the offset. So I have got some experience with trading the stock market,
Okay.
but it's more longer term positions using
Okay.
technical analysis.
Yeah.
So it's not emotionally driven at all. I trade, over months, not days or hours or
Yeah.
minutes as trading the horse markets are. But no, it was a complete change of, personality to a point and the way I manage risk. As you well know, Matt, you have to make sometimes split-second decisions.
Yeah.
There's no double guessing. If you double guess yourself, then you potentially have lost your exit. So no, it was. I'll be upfront. It was a challenge, which is, why I've said to you, outside of this podcast, one of the biggest things I kind of took from your course was the mindset part. It is, you're up against some very switched on, intelligent people in the markets. You're up against bots, and the thing that kind of sets you aside is kind of how you think in the market, how you react, understanding when things have gone wrong or when they've gone right. Fantastic. But yeah, for me it was really hard initially, really hard. But again, I don't think the match betting side kind of helped me making a transition across to trading, purely because match betting is it's a very low risk or no risk kind of strategy as such. I tried high risk casinos and all sorts offers back when I was doing it, but moving across to trading where there is risk, that was a big understanding part that I had to kind of go through, and realizing I needed to change my mentality completely if I was going to ever make it successfully at trading.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, there's so many layers to it, isn't there? The mindset side of it. That when people come into it because they want to make money. That's ultimately the goal.
Yeah.
But when you peel back the layers, there's so many layers to it. So I think that some people just don't even touch a second layer. It's whether they want to. You kind of have to look into the mirror and sort of look at yourself and understand yourself and how you tick, how you think, understand how you react when you take a loss, understand how you react when you win as well. It's really important to sort of stay humble and don't have an ego about yourself, because the market will humble you.
Yeah, 100%. It's as you just mentioned, then it's not just about when you have a loss, a more sizable loss than you should have potentially taken. On the flip of the coin, it's how you manage your emotions when you have, a really good trade, where, things have gone perfectly. You've entered really well, you've added essentially to your position, you've kind of, it's just been that perfect trade. How do you deal with that confidence? It's a fine balance between being confident and overconfident. You don't want to go into the next market, expecting something similar to happen. Maybe double your stakes. I've been there, done it. Got the T-shirt. I'll be up front. Thinking, yeah, I can do this. I can smash this. Next market, you may be lucky again. You may get another fantastic trade, and then your confidence then sky high. And unfortunately, again with overconfidence, you're going to come back to earth with a big bump. Especially if you're massively overstaking. Because when that red comes up, if it's a trade that goes against you and it's more of a sizable red than what you're used to, it's then just going, right, I need to get out now. But it's that split second decision between I need to get out now and getting out, and I need to get out now. Oh, actually, maybe it will come back my way a little bit. And then before you know it, you're in a double size red, triple size red, and then your whole stake's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this goes back to being able to read the market and understand the market fully, because if you do, it's then, okay, I understand what's happening now, I need to act now, and that's the mindset part then kicks in. And what you've hit on there, it's about finding your sweet spot with everything. You hear some people say, oh, I've made 50 quid or I've made 100 quid or whatever a target for the day, I'll pack up now. To me, that's just bonkers. That doesn't make sense, because if the markets are really good that day and there's some good racing markets to come and you're fresh, you're feeling good, why are you going to pack up? Like, you could make a week's wages in one day, whereas on another day it might not be as good. So, but obviously you want to find that sweet spot. What you don't want to do, you don't want it to turn into a car crash, like where you sat there for 6 hours when you're flagging for the last two. You got to know when to stop, find that sweet spot. The same with your staking and everything.
I think it's about picking your battles. Understanding what, again, it comes with experience, but understanding what markets you're expecting potentially some moves to happen. Your watch list that you post on a daily occasion, that kind of narrows down. Saturdays, for example, I will look through the watch list that you post, pick out the races that I may want to trade. But yeah, I do agree. It's, I think setting daily targets and weekly targets is, personally, I think is unproductive. I don't think it's for me personally anyway, it's just how I feel, but I don't think that's a good thing to do, because what happens if you don't hit your target? Then you're going to start jumping into races that potentially don't hit the criteria. You're trying to find something that isn't even there. It's just pointless. But then again, if you do hit your daily target within the first race, fantastic, but why stop trading? If you're feeling okay, mindset's in a good place, you're not going to then overtrade the next race because you've had a really good first race. Again, it's that whole mindset thing. It's taking a step back. If you need to, go outside for 5-10 minutes or whatever you need to do before the next race to kind of clear your mind, be it be a loss or even a win, then do it. It's about getting yourself back to that neutral mentality and then continue trading for the rest of the day.
Exactly that, yeah. And just going onto the edge side of things, like what I teach with the racing side of things. Do you have a background in horse racing? Were you quite knowledgeable about horse racing coming into it, or?
Not at all.
Right.
No. No background in horse racing. I'll be up front, I've never been into a bookmakers before. I still haven't.
Wow.
It's same with the match betting. When I first started doing that, never been into a bookmaker. Still haven't been into a bookmaker. The first ever race course I went to was actually with HFP.
Yep.
We did a members a few days away at the races, which was amazing. And that was at, I can't take my mind back now, was at Epsom.
Epsom, yeah.
Yeah. So now was the first time I've ever been to a race course. I live very close to Chatham Race Course, but never actually been to the races. But yeah, no, very, very new. Didn't really understand anything about horse racing, or didn't even know what a furlong was, or the different distances, the different type of track, and all that kind of aspect of thing. I had to learn from scratch. But to start trading horse racing, the way you teach anyway. In my honest opinion, you don't need to know really anything about horse racing. You kind of teach it from the ground up. And in a way, I kind of think it's almost a benefit, because you haven't, I haven't personally picked up any, bad habits or, biases to certain trainers or certain horses or certain tracks, or certain types of going, for example. I have not picked up any of that. So I think going in green, for me anyway, was kind of a bit of an advantage. Now obviously I know more about tracks and different types of run styles and all that kind of stuff. But when I first started, I didn't know anything about horse racing.
Did you pick up the racing side of things and the execution side of things? Did you pick that up quite quickly?
Yeah, fairly quickly. It was kind of what I was really looking for. As I mentioned before, I first started learning to lay horses, and I was profitable doing that, but I didn't, apart from just reading the market and seeing how the horses were running.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a set discipline as such. I knew I was going to, it was a very basic rule. I'm going to get out 3 furlongs out, for example. That was kind of as basic as it was going to be. If I was in a certain red position or something happened I didn't want to happen. But no, the execution side for HFP, for me it was a big turning point. Actually having something that was laid out in front of me. If this happens, you get in pretty much. If this happens, then you get out. It's very clear cut, and if you just follow it to the letter, you can't really go wrong, to be brutally honest. It's when you start deviating from the tried and trusted method, try and enter in markets that you shouldn't really be getting into. Markets are too thin. It's those, if you can avoid entering those markets, cutting your losses short, in my honest opinion, you should be onto a profitable trading journey.
This is why I think that purely trading from race reading, watching a video of the race, is extremely difficult. Yes, it's possible in some markets, but to do that profitably, just purely look like I'm talking like you see a horse coming off the bridle late in a race, extremely difficult to profit from that long term, I think.
Yeah, you're up against traders that have got faster pictures than you.
Yeah.
You're trading against people that have got drones,
yeah,
for example, that will have a 2 or 3 second advantage on some tracks to you. Some markets now have GPS. Jockeys have their GPSs in their saddles. That people use automation against. Not against, but use automation for. Watching pictures. Yes, you can be profitable trading watching pictures if you've got fast pictures, but following the HFP, Hunt for Profit method, you don't need any of that.
Yeah, exactly that, and that the video coupled with the watch list just helps you. But it's important for people to realise that the course is not. It is that having a watch list in the group isn't a give me. It isn't a trade this horse for
It's not a service, is it?
No,
at the end of the day, it's not enter here, exit there. It's all about building a picture about how a race could be formed.
Exactly.
So if a horse that you've suggested in the watch list, it's a prominent front runner, and it does lead from the front. Fantastic. That's one part of the jigsaw. If there's money to support it when it's moving through the field and it's jumping well, then fantastic. My honest opinion, fill your boots. But if there is something that isn't quite right, then it's not a given. Just because yourself has put it in a watch list to keep an eye on doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a trade at all. It's more of guidance than anything.
Yeah, exactly that. And the whole idea of the course in academy is to help teach you to fish as well. So you can do it independently. Like you said, trading is it's a lonely game. You are on your own, but the support's there. But ultimately, you're the one that presses the mouse. So the idea behind it is not, it's not like you say, it's not a tipping service. It's there to guide you, so you can turn into a professional trader, or a competent trader, should I say?
Yeah, exactly. It's I completely echo
I think it's mad, by the way, that you've never been to Cheltenham, that you've never been to the races
that. I
at
know.
Cheltenham.
You mentioned to me a few times. You can't believe it.
It's like the
No.
it's like the Wembley Stadium of jump racing. I'm gonna have to come down and take you. I have
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah, since Epsom, it's kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and as I said, it's a lone. As you said, but it's a lonely game trading, and obviously going on the course in Manchester that I did, back in 2022, going on the race days, it's been really great, to be honest. And anyone that's listened to this that's potentially new to Hunt from Profit, or a long-standing member that hasn't gone to a race day, I would really suggest doing it. Meeting like-minded traders, having chats, networking, it's invaluable, to be really honest. And I've got some good friends from the race days out.
Yeah, it's good to hear. We'll definitely have to do one at Cheltenham. Definitely, that's on the list. What advice would you give to anyone interested in trading that may be struggling, or looking struggling with a mindset, or looking for an edge? What sort of advice would you give them on a broad scale? I don't just mean horse racing, just on a general.
I would probably say to reach out to yourself more than anything. Like, I remember in the course, and you regularly say, if you are stuck at any point, or you need advice, then get in contact. There's nothing worse, being sat in your office by yourself after a real bad trade, after trade after trade, 2 or 3 months down the line, and you're still not making headway. Then talk to someone that's kind of been through that journey, has come out the other side profitable. Reach out, some advice that yourself might give, maybe just the difference, or take a break. Take a break for a few days. Clear your head. There are many books out there around mindset, and a couple that I've read myself. It's a mindset's such a tricky subject, to be brutally honest, because everyone's mind works slightly different. I'm hoping some people can relate to what I've mentioned in this podcast, but everyone's different. Everyone thinks in a different way and reacts differently. If they manage to get a good profit, or are in a sizable loss position, how they kind of pick themselves back up after that, to then go on to trade the next race or the next day, clear-minded. Everyone's different, but the biggest thing to suggest is reach out and to yourself, or to other members within the group. Everyone's been through that journey at some point. It's nothing harder than obviously being in that position.
What would you say to someone that's sort of just joined our group? Because the thing with Hunting for Profit now is we're into our 7th year now, and it's literally like there's about 90% of the group has been with us for at least 2-3 years. About 30% have been with us from day one. There's like some really seasoned traders in the group that are just in the background. They do that like yourself now. They turn up, they get the watch list, they trade, and they switch the computer off, and that's absolutely fine. I don't hear from everyone. It's a very, very settled sort of experienced group now. So when we do get new people into the group, it's possibly a bit daunting for them. I just wonder what would you have any advice for them? What would your advice be starting out?
Yeah, I would say don't think any question's a silly question.
Yeah.
Again, I was guilty of it when I first started. I kind of just buried my head in the sand and just kind of plodded on through. But reach out. It's there are so many experienced traders. Some traders in your group that are far more experienced than myself.
Yeah.
Um, at no point have I ever seen anyone post anything in the Skype chat room that has, kind of been shot down at all. Everyone's been really, really helpful. It's whatever the question is, just ask. It might seem, you think, a silly question, but no one's going to kind of criticize you or make you feel stupid for asking that question, because it's bound to be questions that other traders have had throughout their journey, and probably other members in the chat room have probably had that question but have just gone, oh no, I'm not going to ask. It seems a bit of a silly question, I'm not going to put that out. But just ask. I'm more than happy to help anyone that has a question that messages me, and I'm sure you're exactly the same, Matt. It's just ask those questions, and or jump on a Skype call yourself, Matt. I know you always offer that to new members and existing members, to talk through any questions that they may have, because at the end of the day, the start of your trading journey is the most hardest. It's you're finding yourself, finding your own your own mentality, your own kind of journey. It is a journey at the end of the day. Trading. It's I'm still learning today, as I'm sure you are, Matt, to a point as well. It's new challenges come up, new markets work in a different way that you haven't necessarily seen before. Liquidity changes from race to race, season to season. It's an ever moving game.
It's always a challenge. It would be boring if it's easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
You gotta let the mind tick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, okay. So picture that. This is my last question for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you too long.
That's all right.
Picture this. Then you're the guy. You're sat on YouTube now, going through YouTube, trying to find ways to make money from in running on horses. You've watched markets. You've tried laying stuff. You're going around in circles. You're just trying to find what sort of benefits do you think that you get now that guy that sat there looking at YouTube now, or he's banging his head against the desk, trying to lay something at whatever crazy odds, in a crazy position in the market, can't quite see what he's doing. What sort of benefits do you feel that you get now, sort of day to day, being in the group and stuff, that you didn't get before, or the guy out there that's hunting around YouTube for stuff isn't getting now?
Yeah, it's guidance and structure are the main things. At the end of the day, you can sit there and try and trade by yourself. You can try laying, you can try backing, you might get some success, you might not. Unfortunately, the vast majority of novice traders that don't have any guidance or any support or any structure to follow will lose.
Yeah.
Long story short, you'll get chewed up by the market, thrown out, and you'll be sat there in a month, 2 months, 3 months time, just going, well, I don't think you can trade horse races, football, or whatever you're trading. It's not possible. All these people online that say they make money trading or whatever, it's not true. You can't do it. My biggest thing with yourself is having that structure.
Yeah.
Having that process to follow, and people may look at your course and go, oh, I don't know if I want to spend that, for example, but trust me, when you try to trade by yourself, you will probably lose considerably more than it would ever cost to do your course. And at least when you've done your course, you will have some structure in place. You will have a set process to follow. You'll have confidence. You'll have a group of like-minded traders that are more than happy to help you. And if you have a bad day or a bad month, you've got people to talk to about it, try and understand where you've gone wrong. If you set out by yourself, you have none of those things. You really are kind of stuck, in no man's land with no support there, and it is a daunting place. Trust me, I've been there. I am generally so pleased that I found Hunting for Profit. Met Matt yourself, met other like-minded traders, because it really has supported me in my trading journey.
Brilliant. And yeah, we'll leave it on that note.
Fantastic.
And
Thanks, Matt.
thank you for your time.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure.
So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you want to know more about learning how to trade horse racing in play, then you can find us on Twitter and YouTube, and you can contact us via the website at www.huntingforprofit.co.uk.